So my next guest, I'll introduce Tuli Guttman from Tuli Guttman Catering. I think forever I've known you to be in this space, one of the first pioneers in this space as far as high-end events. Thank you so much for today's event. And we're live at the Bonayich event where they do fundraising. We have hundreds of people took time out of their day in order to come help the amazing work of Bonayich and ultimately help the childless couples. Tu has been a volunteer as well throughout the years. And ultimately, he's part of anytime we do an event, he's part of here on the catering. So tell us a little bit more. What have you seen change the trends throughout the years in the catering business?
Oh, I've seen a lot. I started my business, I would say, I think 23 or 24 years ago. It's right after I had my first daughter, a year after I got married. Started very small, did Wagnachts, did Brisson, I think you remember. I used to do for your in-laws, correct? You're little, you got just married. And we keep growing. They made me into an upper-class caterer. I guess the Wagnachts came out to be whatever, so we grew to the next level. I started doing Bonayich years ago in Ateres Chaim, and we did upstairs, the dinner for the the people that didn't fit downstairs. As a volunteer, did it for years, then we went to Bingo to the First Avenue. This is the 50th year Baruch Hashem we're doing, and it's not hundreds of people. Last night we served main course. I think we served 650 people.
Wow.
So you could say almost 1,000.
Wow.
People that came late only had the hot food, but it was a lot of people last night.
So in terms of the trends, have you seen different styles happening in the market?
Yeah. I wish the trends would stay a little bit longer in season. You buy stuff, you rent stuff, you get yourself creative with the tablecloth and the colors and whatever, and before you know it, it's on to next.
Wow.
And I can't say that we're coming back to the old ones. Sometimes you get something coming back, but in reality, there's new stuff every day.
So this is a leadership ask, guys. I want to ask you some leadership questions because one of the places where party planners, event caterers have to shine is in leadership because you have to have your army of waiters and people in the kitchen and so on and so forth and really march out and sometimes serve hundreds of people or even sometimes thousands of people in a very short period of time. How do you rally around your people to make sure they're motivated and they do things to perfection?
It is most probably one of the hardest things in my business that I have to come through and do it. And if you don't come through, it's really considered a flop, a darachval. You served last night, maybe almost 500 people sat down, and we had most probably 100 people in this room. And Hassan gave me what to serve 15 minutes. There's no choice. You push. You make the system good. You hire good people. The earlier you know, the earlier you book the crew. You try to get the best crew possible. And they know what you like. They know what, it's from so many years, they know what you're really looking for. And, when you prepare good, Baruch Hashem works out good. So everything was prepared before. A whole day they were working just to set up that the plates just move on the table faster. They have their tricks what they do. So yeah, in 15 or 20 minutes, we served the whole thing until we practically ran out of plates.
One of the things, we had a conversation earlier today, and I said, in a few days there is Shabbos, so you're going to be able to rest. And you said, no, caterers don't rest. So I want to ask you a question. Like every business owner knows that sometimes we have to pause, get back to, and all of a sudden have a fresh start. If you go on this long run, when do you rest in order to rejuvenate and get back to the, creativity? Every event needs their creativity.
So catering works in seasons. In the year, there's good seasons, really busy seasons, and then there comes the slow. You have to rest when you're slow. And some people get depressed when you're slow. You think it's the end of the world. In 24 years of business, I've seen the slow season, it stops. Sometimes it stops faster than you think. Sometimes it takes another week. And that's when you have to recuperate. That's when you have to take your time off and get whatever. But when it's in season, you just can't stop. There's a famous word that the caterers never sing Friday night, menicha v'simcha. Because if there's menicha, there's no simcha. This is how it goes. The caterers, Shabbos is their job. And rightfully so. Somebody has to serve Yidden on Shabbos. Mm-hmm. This is what we do. This is what the Eibishter gave me to do. And I remember in the beginning when I went into the business and, we were a young couple and my wife, she didn't marry me as a caterer. And I became the caterer and I became working on Shabbos. And until I had the little kids that were not able to see them, my wife waited for me to come home sometimes Friday night, 1 o'clock in the morning until I made Kiddush and she waited. The kids got bigger. I changed the system. We hired managers that Friday night they take over. And on Shabbos morning, it's not so bad to wait till 1, 2 o'clock to come home. And this is what we do. But this is what we made up. I didn't create this business. The Eibishter just threw it into me. He gave it to me. He gave it to me right, and I had to take it. And this is what was shared for me. And this is what we make it work, and everybody's happy.
So you mentioned something I think that it's worth mentioning and going back to. You mentioned something about you fell into this industry. You weren't prepared. You didn't marry. Your wife didn't marry a caterer. I think it's an important point for our listeners because sometimes you start off a new business. You need to sacrifice. You need to put in the 30, 40, 50 hours beginning in order to get it up and running. How important was it for your success to have a spouse, to have your wife to support you in the process?
So, when I remember in the beginning when I started, technically I was newly married. I was a shamas in a shil, and I did the shom zucha, the kadashim, whatever a shamas had to do. And then there was the person that came to me and said, "I'm doing a bris, but it's in a different shul." I said, "But I'm not a caterer." He's like, "Why not? You're doing it here. Do it there. I like what you do here. I like what you do here." And I did it for him, and I remember coming home, and it was a Friday morning. It was pouring. It was like I was a newly father then. I think my baby was like 2 weeks old. I came home, and I counted the money that I made, and I made, I think, $250 or $300. And I'm like, I tell my wife, it's like my friends work by B&H for $300 a week. I came home with $300. I think it's a pretty decent thing. It was one day, and we decided, okay, you know what? Let's give it a shot. And some person took me for the next week and the next week. And I'm not going to say that the first year was easy. I wasn't advertised. People didn't know about me yet. I was waiting for the day. After half a year in business, and I really needed some more Wachnachts and whatever, just to pay my rent, we made little chocolate arrangements, made it in-house, bought the chocolates, bought containers, a nice ribbon. My wife actually went to the hospital, to the Kimpetuden's the rooms, and she put on, this is courtesy of Guttman's, just whatever. Believe me, I don't know if I got one Wachnacht, but I did get a few phone calls from it. And you know what they asked? Excuse me, which hechsher does the chocolate have? But she helped me. She helped me a lot, and she pushed me through it. And she encouraged me when it was hard. And Baruch Hashem, success came, and we tried to keep it up.
Here's another lesson to our listeners. You have to you're only on control of the input. You're not in control of the output. So the chocolates were the input. The output, Hashem runs the world, and He sends you the business. Tell our listeners how people people want to find out about you. Where could they reach you?
So right now, my name is all over my name and number is all over the place. I believe that the whole Jewish community have heard of Tuli Guttman.
Sure.
So you just ask them today in social media, just put up on any group, anybody has Tuli Guttman's number, they'll get it. But I widened my clientele. I work a lot, 5 towns, Queens, Upper West Side, New Jersey, even in Lakewood is not even whatever, but I'm talking North Jersey, Englewood. They get to me. It's word to mouth, and sometimes I'm busy and I can't even whatever, but I try my best, and we get there.
Beautiful. For our listeners, here you have it. If you have opportunity, somebody pays you $200-$300 to do a Wachnach, a bris, take it, because you could find yourself 24 years later still doing catering in an amazing way and serving thousands of people for Bonayich Olam. So if you're looking for a caterer, you're looking for somebody to do beautiful work, Tuli Guttman is the place to go. We've been able to share a lot of events together, and I highly recommend and support the people that support Bonayich Olam. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody that listened.